Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Photo Booth Magazine live stream series, episode number 5. And this week we have from Digitera, Jordan St Jacques. Welcome, Jordan.
Art, how are you? Congratulations on you, and I think your partner is Dave Stevenson.
Yeah, I'm partnered with Dave Stevenson. He is away this week, so it's just you and me, just the two of
Well,
us.
regardless, congratulations on the new initiative with the Photo Booth magazine. I think it'll be a great addition. There's not too many photo booth magazines out there. In fact, I didn't really find any.
Just one right now. That's pretty much it.
Just
Um,
one. There you go.
yeah, thank you. It's really, I mean, we say it every time. It's kind of a pay it forward type of endeavor. I enjoy learning a lot about the photo booth industry. You know, I'm not the expert, so I'm getting the opportunity to learn while I'm doing this as well. I mean, I've got enough experience to be dangerous, but we're all learning something new every day. And something that I'm pretty good at and you're really good at, I thought would be a great topic for this week would be SEO. So
Absolutely. I mean, there's always, it's always nice to work in your business, but working on your business as well is equally important. In fact, if not more important, in terms of actually generating the revenue needed to keep a company going.
yeah, that's 100% true. So, a lot of things that I hear on Facebook, or we've seen in these Facebook groups, what's the best way to get business if you're starting out, or where do you guys get most of your business from? There's a lot of answers to that. There is,
Hmm.
I get them from referrals, I get them from bridal shows, I get them from those free exposure events. I do social only. I do just, SEO. Some people say Google Ads. Well, those are all good answers. I think, whatever you're most comfortable with and getting your business in is absolutely fine. But I think, you and we look at the data of like websites on a constant basis. And I will tell you personally, for me,
Every
most,
day.
yeah, most of my business, when I look at the numbers, is coming from is SEO. I mean, and we're going to talk a little bit about with the folks here tonight, and this is going to be recorded. So for those of you who are watching this later, just want to remind you that you can catch these live streaming shows on the Photo Booth Magazine website. So if you missed this, or if you want to, leave or something like that, you've got to go somewhere and you can't catch it. We do post these on the Photo Booth Magazine website. These are being streamed on the Photo Booth Network Facebook group and the Photo Booth Magazine Facebook group, as well as YouTube. So we have multiple spots. So if you don't know where they are, just go to photoboothmagazine.com. You'll find them, and you can catch up on this valuable information from all the different episodes. The first guest we had was Rob Savickas talking about the Photo Booth Expo. Second one was Shane Satin. Big conversation about white labeling. And last week we got a chance to meet Ed Altunian from Backprop, who had a really, really cool product that he invented on a need to keep those pillowcase backdrops up in outdoor events to keep them so they don't fall over. So I want to hear a little bit about you, though, Jordan. Tell me about your story. You've got this great company called Digitera. Go ahead.
So, just a little bit of a quiz here for you, Art, to see how on top of your game are. You've got my website up there.
I do.
Obviously, that in the green suit on the left, shaking hands with somebody. Can you tell me who that is?
Justin Trudeau.
Yes, sir. Prime
That's
Minister of
it.
Canada. And whether you like his politics or not, it's still a pretty good photo to take. So, so anyway, with respect to my background, regular viewers will have seen it before. What ended up with me out of college is that I during college I actually became the University of Toronto campus DJ, and DJing all the pubs, all the parties, the sorority formals, the fraternity parties, things like that. And back then, if you remember, we're talking like early to mid '90s at this point, right? Back
Hmm.
then, DJs actually got paid a lot more than they do now. And so graduating into college, I actually was making more money as a full-time DJ than I could have made at a proper corporate starting salary job. So I continued to do on with that. That continued all through the '90s and into the early 2000s. I got a little frustrated with DJing. I didn't like weddings. Don't. We'll talk about that another time. But I essentially I was the guy that liked the high energy party, the club nights, the college stuff, the high school stuff. And so there were times in the year when I actually didn't make a lot of money. My summers were dry because I just, like
Hmm.
I said, I didn't like doing weddings. So I got into promoting. I got into promoting around 2002, and it went off pretty well, but nothing to scream home about. Like I was operating up in like Buffalo on the American side,
Yeah.
Niagara Falls, and Toronto on the Canadian side, and I certainly wasn't doing numbers like Disco Donnie or of Florida fame or anything like that. Essentially, we were doing teenagers and college parties, and we were doing about six, seven, 800 bodies a night through the door. So MySpace comes along in 2004, and in fall of 2004, it hits critical mass.
Hmm.
So here we are one night, very surreal night, misty. It's in the fall, October, real Halloween type stuff, right?
Yeah.
And one of my street team girls says, "Why aren't we doing anything in MySpace?" And I said, "Well, what the hell is MySpace?"
Yep.
So she proceeds to take my partner and I to a Kinko's where we could rent a computer terminal because remember, laptops weren't a thing back then,
Yep.
right? And she shows us MySpace, and we fell in love with it because you could do demographic target marketing on a per school level. That's
Yeah.
very important when you're doing these kinds of parties. You can target the college you want or the high school you want. And so we when we were there at Kinko's, my partner and I spent 22 hours straight just clicking on manual friends requests. This is actually before CAPTCHA. CAPTCHAs came about, so we were clicking fast.
Oh,
I think we might
yeah.
have clicked about 7,000 friends requests that first day. So at one point, I mean, I think we ordered 3 pizzas over the 22 hours, and it was just this real surreal night where by the time we walked out of there, it was like something like 6 or 7 in the morning or something like that, and we're just like, wow, we are going to reach a lot more people than we've been reaching with our flyers. So the proof of concept actually proved it out really, really well. Our numbers tripled between that point and the next event. We went from about 800 people a night to like just under 2,400 a night, which is great because, financially that was a fantastic uptick.
Hmm.
However, it came with problems, the usual fights. People couldn't get in, line jumping problems, chaos at the doors. We had to call the cops and things like that. But the point is that we were off to the races, right? Anyway, just to make a long story short, so I don't take your entire half an hour on my background, that MySpace genesis, if you will, led to the next 9 years of me becoming known as the digital promoter, right? Later on, when MySpace fell off and Facebook came up, we did the same thing. We did the same thing with Instagram when Facebook started to fall off with the kids. Because remember,
Hmm.
when mom and dad came on Facebook, that's when kids started hopping off and they were
Yeah.
all on Instagram
Yep.
and Snapchat and things like that, right? So, long story short, we just morphed over into digital year after year after year. Learning how to do various things like WordPress websites, email marketing, social media marketing from a corporate level point of view, SMS marketing for cell phones. And most importantly, and relevant to the DJ and the photo booth industry is SEO. So I guess the reason why I speak every year at DJX in August in Atlantic City, and of course for Rob in the biggest international photo booth show in the world, Photo Booth Expo every February in Las Vegas, is simply because of the fact that I can speak the language that these guys know, and girls, because there are girl photo boothers out there too. That I speak in a language that they understand because I used to be part of the business. I don't do gigs anymore. I haven't done. I think my last DJ gig was in 2000. Geez, what is it? 2006 or 7 or something like that
Oh,
at
wow.
Deerfield Academy in Massachusetts. And my last night, Derek Pinnell, who's one of my clients now, actually was with me that night. So it wasn't like a party where I got a big send off. It was just another dance. And at the end of the night, we went to 7-Eleven 24-hour open and grabbed ourselves a couple of drinks and said cheers, and that was it. Later on, I sold all my gear, and I haven't done an actual DJ gig since 2007. And I haven't done a promotions gig either. My last party promoting was 2013. So I mean, since early 2013, I've been full time tech. But I
Right.
have, and even though the money that the revenues that the wedding industry verticals, let's say DJs, photo booths, photographers, limos, videographers, etc., even though they can't afford the huge marketing packages like the way that realtors can, or insurance agents or mortgage brokers, let's say, I still have a real soft spot in my heart for them, simply because of the fact that I used to be one of them. Right, I've done the gigs, and remember, I was a Canadian DJ. So I've done the gigs where at the end of the night, when you're loading in, the snow's getting in your shoe and falling in the crack of your pants and everything like
Uh-huh.
that. Like I've been through the battles, and I'd like to see a lot of DJs learn how to do proper marketing, because I got to tell you, these days, if a DJ is a do-it-yourselfer, there's a lot of knowledge that isn't being learned out there,
Right.
especially with SEO. And so that's why I write every couple of weeks. I do an article for DJ Life, and depending on what happens with your new initiative, I'd like to be there for you guys as well.
Thank
Fully,
you.
wholeheartedly support what Photo Booth Magazine is trying to do.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. No, that's a great story. And going back to just the MySpace story. So this is before we get into SEO. This is important. This is an important thing to remember, that you were going where the eyeballs were, right?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that's how you capitalize on it. So, we got one comment from a Facebook user that says word of mouth is best. Absolutely, 100%. Um,
Okay,
but
let me comment on that, because
yeah,
this is not the first time we've had this conversation about word of mouth versus aggressive marketing. Okay,
mhm,
a comprehensive marketing campaign, right, for a DJ or a photo booth company. And I apologize if I keep mentioning DJ. It's just that DJs and photo booths are really, really tied, because a lot of the companies do both.
yes,
But I'll try and stay away from that as much as
no,
possible.
that's okay.
The point is that a wedding vertical company, right? Because there's many of them, right? Word of mouth is powerful. If you're at the gig, and then all those bridesmaids, there's always going to be a bridesmaid who's got a wedding coming up, and they say, "Hey, can I have your card?" Sure, you might get a couple of gigs a night out of it, right? That's great.
Hmm.
But what's going to end up happening, like if we're talking about like a serious business analysis, right? Business 101, if you will.
Yeah,
Um, you're not going to grow out of a single operator company if you don't actually do outbound marketing, right? Like if I was to qualify what word of mouth is inbound. You're just doing your service. Someone likes what you're doing. They come up to you and they say, "Can I have your card?" That's an inbound lead, and it's a hot lead. Don't get me
yeah.
take
Oh,
those hot leads day long.
yep.
But if you want to go into being one of the premier multi ops out there, like for example, Pulse Entertainment out of
Yeah,
Philadelphia, or A Touch of Class out of Boston.
yep.
Ken in Boston and Ross in Philly are both
Yeah,
clients of
Ross is
mine.
right down the
And
road from me. Runs a huge
yeah,
operation,
exactly.
one of the
Right.
biggest
If
in the
you want
area.
to be a multi op that's doing $1 million a year or more in revenue, and you've got staff and you've got trucks and you've got more revenue coming in, and to be a real success in the industry, wherever your location is, you have got to add outbound marketing into your inbound or organic. I would call word of mouth more organic than inbound, because
Mhm.
organic, you're right there, right? It's like being at a bridal show. In fact, it's even more superior than being at a bridal show, because they're seeing you in action. It's the best lead you can get.
Absolutely.
But that's only one event that night. How
Mhm.
many? eh, Actually, Art, you probably have the stats on this. How many average in a city like Philadelphia and all the suburbs and all that stuff? How many weddings are going down
Oh my
on every
gosh,
Saturday night?
thousands.
Thousands. Well, I
Well,
mean,
maybe a
over the
thousand or
country.
so, because the Philadelphia area is so big where I'm at, and
Sure, but
there's
not
so many
thousands. I think
venues.
thousands over the country, right? Maybe 5, 6, 7,000 weddings every single night.
Yeah.
And I could be wrong. I mean, I'm sure that one of the big bridal magazines has done a study on this before, and we should probably look online before we start spouting off knowledge we're not aware of. But the thing is that if you're at a wedding and you're doing the photo booth and someone loves what you're doing, they love what photo booth you have, they love your props, they love your professionalism and your entertainment to get
Mhm.
that lineup. Every time a new group of people comes up to get their props and take a photo and stuff like that, if you're hyping them up along the way, it's going to be a more pleasurable experience for them. And if somebody comes up to you and gives you, oh my goodness, you're amazing, can I have your card, blah blah blah, that's great. Take that
Fantastic.
lead all day. That's money in the bank.
Yes.
But don't tell me that you don't also need to worry about proof of concept with your social media to showcase your events. Don't tell me that you don't need SEO to go after those brides that are searching every single day
With the
for leads like that.
Yeah.
And so it's just one of those things. Like, if you want to build a company where you've got people working for you, okay, you need SEO, absolutely. Remember this one thing, right? The company stress test, if you will, right? If you can get sick for, say, a month and your company will survive, then you've got a good company, right? But if you get sick and your month is screwed, like you make no money at all because you got to pass off all your gigs because you got COVID, like I had in August and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, then what's going to end up happening is you're going to suffer financially, right? So build a company, build yourself a life, and to do that, you absolutely need SEO.
Yeah. And I look at so from an investor standpoint, they use a well balanced portfolio, investment portfolio. It's the same thing with marketing. You need a well balanced marketing portfolio, right? So you
Mm.
needed to dabble in all these different areas because you don't know which one's going to drop off. Just like MySpace, if you put all your eggs in MySpace and then did nothing after that, you would have been screwed, right? But you went on to the next
Well,
thing and found the next set of eyeballs.
look at Rupert Murdoch, the guy who owns Fox News. He actually bought MySpace for almost $600 million, and as it turns out, he bought the wrong company.
Yes, he
And
did.
there's actually proof that at some dinner party, like black
With
tie,
Justin Timberlake, by the way.
yeah, well, he failed too. But
Yes, he did.
um, Rupert Murdoch and Mark Zuckerberg were together at one party a couple of years later. It was like 2008 or something like that.
Hmm.
And Rupert Murdoch took Mark Zuckerberg aside and commented lightly, "Looks like I bought the wrong company."
Yeah. Well,
So
even
you
even
need
the greatest can make
everything.
mistakes.
Listen, if you're talking about a good marketing mix, you need social media to showcase
Hmm.
yourself, right? You're not going to get too many leads just from social, but
Yeah.
people will check out your social after talking to you, right? You need word of mouth. You need to be prepared with cards, et cetera, and a good website. Because let's face it, even if they get your card, they're going to check out your website after they get home, right? You need SEO so that you can be in the rankings. SEO is great lead generator. People are searching every day, and the thing about like SEO that not a lot of people realize is that when a bride is on Google and she searches for a service, and I don't mind just sticking with the she here because men are useless when it comes to planning a wedding. The thing about searching is that overall, what searching does is it indicates immediate purchasing intent.
Bing.
Someone searching is gonna buy. I mean, unless they're just like a tire kicker or something like that, which is rare. It does happen, but it's rare. Normally, when someone goes searching, they're looking to buy something.
That's the big difference. So all the other ones, social media, Snapchat, all of that is discovery, right? That's like, it's accidental marketing. You're scrolling, looking at funny cats or funny dances, memes, and oh, here's a video of this DJ doing something or this photo booth company doing something. That's kind of cool. I'll remember them later. But when they go to Google or even Bing or Microsoft, right? That is direct intent. They are ready to purchase, and that's when the wallets come out. They're ready to spend, and so why wouldn't you want to be in front of them when they're ready to pull the trigger, not while they're looking up the latest dance, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Right. So, and here's the other thing too. The word of mouth is good for the wedding scene, right? But and it's also good for bar mitzvahs too. But
yeah,
it's not good for corporates. right? So to get those corporate gigs, if you know, and trust me, those corporate gigs, they're a real revenue generator on off nights. Like for example, my friend Ross, Pulse Entertainment in Philadelphia, he's got 4 corporate gigs this week. Or it could
Yeah,
be 5. I don't, can't remember. But the
Mr.
point
Corporate around here.
is that Monday to Friday, Ross has money that doesn't interfere with his Friday night or his Saturday night.
Hmm.
So, that can make all the difference in the world. And
Ken.
you don't get those from
Yeah.
word of mouth. You get them from being seen on Google, or if you want to pick up the phone and phone 1,000 companies in Philadelphia,
Yeah.
and do like grinding it out with cold calls, which
Yep.
to me, I haven't done a cold call in years. But you could do that too. But it's a time waster and it's not effective.
All right.
Uh,
We got a Facebook user. Kind of a good segue because we're going to talk about. So, just real quick. So, this question here says, "What I want to see from the talks and presenter walking us through the setup of SEO." We'd
okay.
love to show you everything in SEO. There is so much, but what we're going to do tonight is we're going to have Jordan just give a glance over or gloss over what is SEO in terms of what you're seeing on the search page, and then we're going to
All
try
right.
and
Let's
give you
do
at
it.
least 3 actionable things that you can walk away with tonight and hopefully do yourself. Okay.
Okay. Let's start off with a high level overview of what SEO is all about. Okay. Now, you got to remember, Google is fundamentally your most important website visitor. Okay. So the everything that we do within SEO is actually telling Google how to look at our site. That's all it is, right? Now, it's time crunching work. I mean, the hours that we spend on a really, really good SEO program on a brand, a website, if you will, can sometimes be hundreds of hours a year, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's all it ever is. All right. So every time, okay, so let's say somebody sticks in a keyword, Philadelphia photo
Well,
booth. All
I
right.
got the screen up. Photo booth rental. You wanted me to change that?
Do Philadelphia photo booth just in case. Where are you in a suburb?
Yeah.
So maybe your local SEO IP address is pulling something that's outside Philadelphia. So if you do Philadelphia photo booth and you get Philadelphia results, right?
Yep.
You'll see a couple of ads. Then you'll
Yep.
see the data that's pulled from maps. Okay.
Yep.
Now, this maps here, and this is our first tip of the night. Okay. This data in maps is being pulled from something called Google Business Profile,
Yep.
which used to be called Google My Business. All
Mm-hmm.
right. So okay, so technically the most important social network, if you will, is actually the Google Business Profile, the Google My Business. Okay. Because first of all, Google places it in local SEO results.
Yep.
It also appears in Google Maps, and it also, I mean, that's where Google
Voice
puts a
search.
lot of. Yeah, it listen, the Google Business Profile is actually 14%. Depending on what study you believe, it could be 12 to 14% of the weight of the actual overall Google ranking calculation. Okay, so you got to
Yep.
remember when it comes to SEO, every time somebody does a search, okay, it runs through the calculation. All right. And that formula is run well over 1 billion times a day, sometimes
Absolutely.
more if you're going to take into consideration the entire planet. Okay. So billions of times a day all over the world, that calculation is being run, right? And it's a massive mathematical calculation. Okay. Nobody knows what it is. Google keeps it a very heavy, heavy secret, right? So what we do as SEO professionals is we do a lot of observation, a lot of trial and error, throwing spaghetti against the wall to see what works. And at some point, we come up with a collective amongst the industry at what works and what doesn't. Also, Google has a blog, and what they do is they actually give
They tell you.
signals.
They show your
They
hand. They
they
show their
tell you
hand.
certain things, and it's not something that you should overthink. If Google publishes something, you should just accept it and deal with it. Okay. So the first tip of the night, right, is make sure that you are paying attention to your Google business profile every day. Make sure everything is updated. Fill out all the fields. And this is something you can do on your own. And you should do this one
Yeah.
on your own,
So
right?
I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to pull up mine real quick. Just, if you don't have one out there, create one before somebody else does it. It's so let me just pull up mine. Mine's Armani Entertainment.
Now, let me ask you something. Is Armani actually your real last name? Because it
That
sounds like maybe
yeah,
that's like your movie star name.
that's my real name. That is my real name. So edit my business information. So really crucial. There's a lot of information. Hopefully you guys can see this. I don't know if Google's going to allow me to expand this out, but you want to have your business name in there. Now you're not supposed to have other things in there. That's not your business name. I have DJ and photo booth rental in there, but Google's kind of loosey goosey with that. So having that really helps out. So I've got my name and then my service as part of what I do, and that's
Sure,
helped me
because
rank.
that's a title,
Yeah.
right?
Um,
So Google looks at titles a lot with a lot more relevance than a
right.
description.
It's like a
Everything's
library.
important.
Yeah.
All the fields are important, right? Like, you've got your title, you've got your categories, you've got your yeah, you've got your description, you've got your service hours, you've got a whole bunch of different things that you can fill out. And I recommend that you either create or go back to your profile on this and take care of it. Like at least once a week, like every Monday, you should be hitting this thing up, making sure that you ask your clients from the previous weekend for reviews, right? And then putting up the pictures that you took at the event.
Yes.
Uploading images to your Google business profile is a huge indicator because not only does Google categorize the images, but they also date stamp the
Yes, they
images.
do.
So
This
if
thing that
Google,
everybody has in their pocket. You should be
yeah,
at your event and taking at least one photo at every event, and as best as you can, uploading that to your Google My Business profile or Google Business page, whatever they're calling it these days, because they keep changing the name of it. But it shows to your timestamp that you're constantly updating. They like to see fresh content, and they know that you're active. That helps with your algorithm.
sure. Fresh content is rewarded heavily with Google, whether it's updates to a WordPress website, blog, or page refreshes on your WordPress, excuse
Yep.
me, on your website, or just uploading photos to your Google business profile.
Yeah.
That fresh content always gets a date stamp, and you got to remember, Google pulls in somewhere between 2 to 300 factors into that calculation.
Yeah.
Okay, so the fact that Google business profile has been reputed to be worth something like 12 to 14% of the overall Google calculation weight is just massive. Like I've seen people increase their rankings only from doing a proper Google business profile.
That's it. It really helps. And the other part, after you've taken consideration, and some people say, and let me ask you, Jordan. Some people say just doing the posts, like maybe a paragraph or whatever. What are your thoughts on that? Is that going to help people out as much as the photos? Does that have any weight at all? Because you can post also
Posting
like
on
a
the Google business profile.
yeah, you can do a post. So
Yeah, just
this
like
weekend I
you're
was
in any
at blah
other
blah blah
social
country
media.
club. So do you think that helps as
Yeah,
well? Okay.
I do. I
Okay.
do. Google business profile is other than actually making sure that your website is SEO optimized. Google business profile is probably the second most important thing that you can do for SEO.
That's where most of my traffic. That's where most of my visitors to my site come from. I rank
Yeah.
really well because I groom. I've been grooming my Google My Business page for or Google Business profile for since it started really, or since I started, and I do that every week. I'm like, let me post at least one photo. Let me make sure I ask my recent couples for client
Here's
for a
here's
review.
here's the other here's the other thing as well, and this is new. Okay, this is fresh, exclusively on Photo Booth Magazine Network. Um, Google has this new thing, right? They've been talking about it for about a year, but it's coming out now, right? It's already out there for certain verticals. It's called local ads.
Local
Okay,
services ads.
local services ads. Yeah,
Yep.
sorry. And the way that Google has actually done, the whole framework for local service ads is it's again pulling information off of your Google business
That's
profile,
exactly right.
right? Now, here is something that's only come up in the last month. All right, very, very fresh news. The way Google service local service ads is working is that they're only opening it up one vertical at a time. All
Yes.
right, so contractors, plumbers, HVAC people, right?
Law
Like,
law
around the
firms.
home.
Yep. And I
Yeah,
meet with that team once a week. So I've
yeah.
actually
But
pressured them to do this. And so that's
now,
where our conversation.
as you well know,
Yep.
right, they are coming out with local service ads for photo boothers and DJs and other
Yes.
wedding
Well,
vertical
not
services.
not yet. Not so. My conversation with the product manager at Google was that they're looking to beta that in 2023. They just haven't given a date yet. And I said, this is huge. I mean, I have an in with these guys. And I said, look, you need to do this because they're just like other industries, like locksmiths and florists is what it started with, right, Jordan?
Yeah.
Because there were a lot of, I hate to say it, frauds, right, out there. And so, not that there's a lot of frauds in our industry, but it's good because people have been asking for, is there a license
Well,
we can get for the photo
there's
booth
not
industry?
necessarily a lot of frauds, but
Well, not frauds, but
I think because of the sensitivity of of a wedding and things like that, when there is a fraud, I mean it's so earth shattering for the brides.
oh
Okay.
my gosh, yeah.
Now, I'll give you an example. This is public knowledge, so I don't mind saying names here. All right. A few years back, there was a long established wedding DJ who was also offering limo services because he had a family member that was doing limo services. His
Hmm.
name was Sam Lucchese. He's out of Guelph. And his uncle had a limo service as well. So he was selling his uncle's limo service. Anyway, as the story goes, 1 year, he changed his payment terms and said, "Listen, we'll give you discounts if you just pay the whole thing up front." Right?
Yeah, walked
So
right
many
away.
brides fell into that, and then he disappeared.
Yeah.
And if you Google him, like Sam Lucchese, sounds Samsation,
Hmm.
right? It's all there, right? So I'm not being controversial here by mentioning this case study.
Yeah.
Anyway, the point is, I knew this guy from back in my days in Toronto, and this guy just created so much stress in the wedding industry. There was, I think his announcement was midweek or something like that, and he had brides that weekend, like 3 or 4 days away.
Yeah, and he quit on him.
Like,
Well, this is a good
what are you
thing for
gonna
that.
do?
This is a
What
good
are you
thing
gonna
for that
do?
because in order to get into
Yeah.
local services ads, you have to prove that number one, that you're a registered business in your state and that you have insurance.
Yeah.
So for all
Because
you people out that don't have insurance and want to get into this, you're going to need insurance. You should register yourself as a business. It's just like that you need to do it, and you really should do it for a healthy business. You should have insurance, and you should do it. But we kind of went off on a
well,
tangent. But yeah, that's coming.
if
Um,
there was ever any organization that was powerful enough and broad enough in scope to actually put a program like this together and be sort of not only necessarily an ad provider, but also a de facto authority because of the verification of credentials and things like that. I mean,
yep.
obviously it's Google, and I'm glad to see them do it. And I will support you with whatever you need to justify this to your contact at Google.
Yeah.
It's good. It's about time that somebody do something like this.
Yeah, and the other part is, I know we're talking about SEO, there are SEO factors to local services ads as well. There
Oh
are
yeah,
ranking factors, so it's not just pay and play. And what's cool about local services ads, just for those folks, I know we're on a tangent, but local services ads, you're only paying for quality, like qualified leads. So you're not
yeah.
paying for every click. So the phone rings and it's really about a photo booth business, you only pay for that lead. If they're calling because they're looking for McDonald's or it's a wrong number, you're not paying for that. If they're clicking on it, you're not paying for that. You're only paying for real qualified leads. And you get to dispute those with Google. We do that on a frequent basis with 250 clients of ours. But
Yeah.
anyway, so that's coming down. Thank you for mentioning that, Jordan. Let's get back to the rest of the page. So we talked about Google My Business. That is a crucial part of SEO. The rest,
Massive.
the rest is, and you've got an image that's part of all these other things here. This is organic SEO traditional right here, right?
Hmm.
So here's a
So getting into the organic section, that's when Google runs the calculation. And if
yeah,
your website has been and your SEO efforts have been done properly, right? Hopefully you should have page one, right? And page one is everything. All right. The
yeah,
drop off, years ago, the drop off, reading various studies, it's always different depending on the study you read. But years ago, I think it was about 66% drop off between page one and page two. Now, apparently, it's risen to about 75% drop off.
And that's because they
So
got more stuff. There's more ads. There's,
more
the map
ads,
section is bigger. And then if local
more,
services ads,
local SEO places. There's image and video
yep,
sections, like how your term ranks on Google Images and Google Videos and things like that.
yep,
And then you get into the organics. And the problem is that the organic section is usually dominated by the Wedding Wire and the Knot and a couple of other directories. So it's kind of hard to crack page one. So what I tell people all the time, right, is the easiest win is to make sure that you're like, scroll back up to the places section.
yep.
Okay, so the easiest win is to make sure that you're getting ranked in the top 3 in this section
That's
here.
right.
Okay. If you are, right, you're going to get business. It's that simple, because being in places, the bride or whoever the client is going to know that you're in the area,
It's like a mini
right? And
website right here.
everybody wants to deal local. I mean, unless you're like a famous name in the DJ business, like Mike Marquez out of New York City. He actually got some gigs down in Puerto Vallarta because everybody saw him on his Twitch show.
Yeah,
But that's rare,
yeah.
right? That doesn't happen every day. Mike has worked hard, with his 52 weeks of outdoor DJing in New York City and all that stuff to cultivate that,
But for
right?
the local
Jordan,
guy, you need to be in the map section.
oh yeah, and also too, a lot of especially a lot of the mobile service companies, they don't want to be driving for 4 or 5 hours. That's crazy,
Exactly.
right?
Especially these days,
So
gas prices.
yeah, these days with gas and everything like that, I mean, it's nuts. I mean, if you booked a gig, let's say 3 or 4 hours out before the gas prices went up, and you didn't build in a gas cost escalator, it's coming right out of your pocket.
Yeah.
It's
My
nuts. It's
my
crazy.
my method now is I don't want to take anything outside of a certain amount of drive time. So I've created this local network of other photo booth companies that if they're in that area, like I don't go into Philadelphia. I do not want to go into Philadelphia. So I have a few companies that I refer and I'll send them to Philadelphia. They got stuff that's in my area. They send it to me. I don't got to worry about gas in that pricing anymore.
Sure. How
Uh,
about and speaking of the fact that you don't want to go to Philadelphia, that's pretty much every company in the New York suburbs. Nobody wants to go into Manhattan,
yeah,
because not only is it a pain in the ass with am I allowed to say pain in the ass here?
you
Sorry,
can.
bro.
I'm not
Um,
stopping you.
wow, I mean, hey, photo booth magazine, we got to keep things professional. I can't be normal Jordan.
Sure, you can.
But with New York, first of all, those toll prices, I mean, what is it, like $30 to cross a bridge or a tunnel now? And
It's
then here's the thing, those loading docks in those
oh my
hotels
God,
are notoriously difficult in Manhattan, okay? You've
everywhere.
got to bring at least one extra person, if not two, to do your load in properly, okay? So there's an extra $500 a night.
Then you got to move your car, and then you got to wait because if the elevator operator's union, now you got to wait for that guy to show up 20 minutes later, and
Yeah,
there's already a long line of other vendors that you're waiting another 20 minutes just to get onto the elevator. It's crazy.
sure. Which is why,
Um,
of course, the guys in Manhattan are charging the prices that they do. And I understand that, right?
yeah.
Anyway, okay. So continuing. All
So
right.
let's
So,
talk. So we talked about the title, right? That's the next. That's going to be number two. I really want to
right.
talk about the title tag because all too often I see somebody's website, and I wish I had an example. I had one when I spoke at PBX where the title tag of the website just said home for the homepage. I'm like,
Yeah.
no. So let's.
Bad,
What is a
bad,
title
bad.
tag?
Okay. So if you're on a browser, and you guys who are listening or watching right now can do this right now. If you're in a browser,
This
obviously
is my
anybody who
website.
uses a modern browser will know that you can have different tabs within the same browser. Okay. Take your mouse right now and hover over the tab.
Just like I'm doing
Okay.
here.
The title tag pops up. So you can actually see what the title tag is. Okay. Now, Google places a huge emphasis on what's in that title tag. Okay. They assign certain weights, right? Some aspects of what goes into the SEO calculation have a stronger weight. Some aspects have a weaker weight, like like the text in the middle of a blog article, paragraph, or something like that. It means something, but it doesn't mean as much as your title tag. Okay, So with your title tag, what you need to do is you need to, like, especially to draw that local reference, right? So
Uh-huh.
let's say your company is Armani Entertainment, okay? What you might want to do is actually start off, right? The first part of your title tag is Armani Entertainment,
I
and
have.
then stick it.
I would like to debate that.
What do
I
you do?
so for the longest time, having your business name, so there's a weight value at the front of the title tag that a lot of other people have talked about in the groups I've been in, and we actually
Yeah.
put the name of the business at the very end because it's so easy to rank yourself for your brand name because nobody else has your brand name.
Did you A/B test before you did that and after you did
I
that?
did, and it works so much better. Like it, we'll
Okay.
do this on offline, but
No,
either
no,
way.
listen, let's give people the knowledge, okay?
Yep.
So we got listen, Art and I are both pretty experienced with SEO. I don't see a lot of difference between us, except for the fact that Art doesn't spend quite as much time on it as I do. That's the
Do
only
not.
difference, really.
I definitely do not.
So, okay, so here's the thing, right? The general concept is you've got to get into your title tag the name of your company, all right, your location,
Uh-huh.
right? And then the main services you're offering. Now, don't put in every service because if you push your title tag, I think it's over 70 or 75
Yeah,
characters,
there's a character
you're
limit.
going
There's
to take
only
it.
so much that people can read too, in
Yeah,
when it displays on Google.
exactly. So I might do something like Art Armani sorry, not Art Armani, sorry. Armani Entertainment dash Philadelphia photo booth. Okay? Or
Uh-huh.
Philadelphia DJ and photo booth. Art is suggesting that you do Philadelphia DJ and photo booth dash Armani Entertainment. Both are valid, right?
Yes.
And what I suggest that you guys do is test it out over time.
Yep.
Take my approach for 6 months, take Art's approach for 6 months, see what works. That's the whole thing about SEO is that you can test these things and come up with the right conclusion for your area.
Yeah.
Okay. Art's opinion is just as equally valid as mine, but the
Yeah. And
general
they're very
concept is
similar.
you want your company name, you want your location, and when you do location, I'm talking about your metropolitan area. Like for Philadelphia has a lot of suburbs, okay?
Yes.
So I wouldn't put a title tag in saying King of Prussia DJ and photo booth, which is, a suburb, especially a lot of you who've been to that big mall will know where that is. Right? I wouldn't do that because King of Prussia is technically a very small place, okay? What I would do is I would use the one word Philadelphia.
Uh-huh.
All right. And then your company, if you cater to 6 different services, like if you do weddings, corporates, bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs, schools, all that kind of stuff, right? I
Yep.
wouldn't jam that all into your title tag. I would say, keep the genesis of what your company is. We're a DJ company. We're a photo booth company,
Yep.
right? So Armani Entertainment, Philadelphia, DJ and photo booth.
Yeah.
That's it.
So with that
Okay.
one, I used to do that. I used to do Philadelphia, but I was getting a lot of Philadelphia leads. So knowing full well that I don't want to go into Philadelphia, I switched and I went to Bucks County because I wanted to stay in my county area. But
Okay.
so, but I also wanted to target specific venues and specific cities around me where I know venues are at. So, and let me show you what I did with a title tag on my blog. And again, this goes back to taking pictures and videos at your event. What I did was I took a handful of pictures and video at one of the venues I was doing a wedding at, both DJing
Mm-hmm.
and photo booth. I made a quick video on my phone, right on my phone. Okay. I uploaded it up to YouTube. I SEO'd that with the right title, a little bit of a description. I linked that back to my blog, which I put and embedded the video in, put a title in that, and linked to YouTube. So I had this cycle that was going, the circle of YouTube to my site to YouTube, same information. And let me show you what happened. This is a really cool thing. So if we go to my blog, and one of the venues that I love is called Durham Hill Farm. It's located in Pipersville, which is kind of maybe like 45 minutes away. So what did I do? I created this simple blog, not a whole lot of effort. Wedding ceremony and reception at Durham Hill Farm Wedding DJ Pipersville. This is the title tag right here. Durham Hill Farm Wedding DJ Pipersville, PA. A
Mm-hmm.
quick paragraph linking to the venue, linking to YouTube, and the YouTube also links back to the site. And this is what it looks like on YouTube. Quick paragraph going back to my site. Now, if
So
you
you've got
do,
the link right in your video description.
yeah, and if you do wedding DJ, Pipersville, PA, you've got your Google Ads. I don't rank well for Google Maps. That's something I've got to work on. But I rank number one for wedding DJ Pipersville, PA, above Party Blast, above Yelp.
Well, it's fantastic, but it's not surprising because everybody knows that you know what you're doing with SEO.
Yeah, but that's something
I think
that,
that
but that little exercise right there is something I think the average person can do. Is take a few pictures on your phone.
well, the general concept that the general concept that I tell my guys, right, is
Hmm.
that when it comes like I tell my listen, there's a big problem with respect to blogging in the industry, right?
Yeah,
Most
they just blog
jocks and
about
most
general stuff.
they're lazy, right? They don't get into the blogging thing, and which is why that I can't remember her name, but that girl that spoke on blogging last year in Las Vegas actually has a lot of clients that get her to do the
Hmm.
blogging, right? And there's other blogging services out there. So the generalized concept though is that it's called SEO keyword sniping. All
Yeah.
right. And essentially what you're doing is you're sniping off other keywords and in the form of a simple blog article, right? Like what I'm actually about to tell a lot of my clients, like tomorrow, like Ken and Rick and Brian and Springfield and Ross, the list goes on, right? Is that this week's blog article is I want them to give me their 5 top venues,
Yes.
right? And we're simply just going to do a blog article saying, hey, Pulse Entertainment here. Ross is in the house, and here's my 5 favorite venues to do stuff at, right? We will backlink to those venues.
Yep.
So Ross, after we publish the article, Ross will have the opportunity to call up those venues and say, hey, look what we just did for you, right?
Yep.
And not only does it help with the SEO, okay, but because the relevance of the backlinks and all that stuff, right? It does 2 things. Number one, it gives Ross an actual excuse to call the venue, right?
Yep.
Which is always good for communication and
Develop the
getting up
relationship.
preferred vendor lists, all that kind of stuff. The second thing is if the venue returns the favor on the backlink, then Ross's SEO is going to go up even more.
That's right.
So what you've done is a fantastic example. I'm so happy that you're actually on page 1 organic for that keyword.
It's a
But
small, it's such a small drop in the bucket though. But if a bride's
but you
looking
did,
for something in that area, I'm going to show up. Or at
yeah.
that venue, I'm going to show up.
Yeah, but if you repeat the process, 100 times with all those different suburbs in Philadelphia and New Jersey, like, I mean, anybody who's ever been in there knows that that area is just one small town after another. I mean, you got
Exactly.
Cherry Hill, Camden turns into Cherry Hill, and King of Prussia,
But
Bucks
a bunch,
County.
but a bunch of drops fills the bucket, right? So eventually,
Now,
you got a whole bucket full of water in there.
so I'm gonna move off to the last tip. Okay, so
Yes.
if we're talking about getting keywords, right, ranking for keywords that are higher in weight than an ordinary blog paragraph, let's say, okay, which
Hmm.
is what you've just done, your title tag. Okay,
Yes.
the one thing that's even more important than title tags is your actual domain name. All right, and I think what I've been talking about for the last few years, is to get away from the ego trip of your own company name as your domain name. Okay,
No,
so
don't say it's
I know I'm
true.
gonna hit
I
you
like
with
my
this because
name.
you're no, you listen. Your name is great, okay, and there's a way of dealing with that. But
Yep.
so back in 2016, 2017, we took a wedding photographer to number 1 on the organic for the amazing keyword wedding
Okay.
photography in Ottawa. Okay, he's not. You won't find it now. He
Ah.
unfortunately he passed away a couple of years ago.
Okay.
But the point is he did it because his domain name was OttawaWeddingPhotography.com
Now, how long ago was that ranked?
6 years ago.
6 years ago. Okay. All right.
There's another guy here in Ottawa who actually made millions of dollars in the special events rental industry at the
Mm-hmm.
big warehouse doing the rentals, all that stuff, as you can imagine, right?
Yeah.
There's a few in every town. But his domain name was OttawaSpecialEvents.com. And so
Okay.
every time anybody did a search for special events, he was number 1.
So
right? And those are powerful keywords to rank for.
they are, but so for our average listener, a lot of those domain names are taken. And I'm thinking to myself out loud here. So if I can't get the one that I think is going to rank, or because people buy domain names just to sell them, right? So we know that that happens. Would a part of the like a forward slash, Philadelphia, Bucks County, Ottawa, like so ArmaniDJs.com. If I was in Ottawa, if I did ArmaniDJs.com forward slash Ottawa photo booth rental as part of the domain name, would that help?
Well, yes, but what will be even more powerful is to actually do subdomains. Okay,
Okay.
so in other words, Bucks County Wedding DJ or Bucks County Photo Booth dot ArmaniEntertainment.com.
Okay. I like
Right?
that.
And with a subdomain, you can actually put up a separate website. Okay, like
Yes.
it becomes quite malleable on the domain name to actually use subdomains. Okay, if you use ArmaniEntertainment.com slash Bucks County Photo Booth, it's going to be the same site.
Yeah.
Okay, it'll still get you URL bonuses, right?
Hmm.
But to do a subdomain is actually treated as a separate website. In your server, you can have different files. So in other words, what you can do is you can actually put up different landing pages
Yes.
and actually get the SEO juice from that specific landing page. Now, here's an important tip. If you do this method, which I recommend that you do, right? What you've got to do within Google Search Console is you've got to
Hmm.
tell Google Search Console to treat your subdomains as different websites.
Yes.
Because if you don't clarify this stuff with Google Search Console, what's going to end up happening is they will lump in your subdomain SEO scores as part of your main site scores.
Okay.
And that you don't want that because it wouldn't hurt you necessarily, but it's certainly not going to benefit you.
So that's a good way to get around. So let me recap that. A subdomain, and a subdomain is something, and let me type this on the screen so somebody can see exactly and understand what a subdomain is. So give me an idea of a subdomain. So it would be like Philadelphia, right?
Hold on.
Yeah, if you've got an example, let me know. But it's basically you've got your domain name Armani, mine's ArmaniDJs.com, and be something dot ArmaniDJs.com, right?
Okay. So you can pull up on my site, you can pull up digitalmarketingplus.com.
Okay.
Okay. And
So
then
the
in another
under our work, yep.
no,
Okay.
where you are, that's fine, right?
Okay.
But pull up another tab, create another tab,
Yep.
and type in robo.digitalmarketingplus.com. ROBO dot and then my domain name.
And this is what I'm talking about, folks. So I don't know everything, and I'm getting a chance to pick your brain tonight, which is fantastic. So hopefully I type that in.
Buddy, you can message me anytime. I always have time for you. Okay, so you see this in here? This is just a simple login to a back-end
Yeah.
robo-dialer.
And
I
that's
got a
what.
lot of politician clients that pay me on election day to do those
Oh,
robocalls.
you're one of those guys. No.
Well, but unfortunately, politicians pay for it. So,
I know.
and they do pay because it's the end of their
Yeah.
campaign and they have to get rid of their budgets, right? So
So
anyway,
this is it right
this
here. Robo
this
dot digitalmarketingplus.com. That's a subdomain, just so everybody knows.
that's a subdomain, and look at it. It's completely different from
Yes.
my main website.
It's a completely different website.
Yeah, it's completely different. Different files,
Hmm.
different attributes, different settings, everything, different code. Like in my FTP tool, which I use, right? There's a different folder for the robo files as there is for the main site files.
Yes.
They're two totally different things.
Yeah.
So you could do you could do all kinds of stuff and then put up a one-page landing page. I'm a very big proponent of a multiple website strategy for your marketing. Okay.
I like that.
So both Ross in Philadelphia and Ken in Boston, they have a number of different domains. And recently what we've done is here, I'll give you an example. Okay.
Pulse Your Party, right? Is that his?
PulseYourParty.com is Ross's main site. But then if you go to PulseYourProm.com, you will see a one-page landing page just for proms that has direct like links. It links back to the main site.
Okay. This is nice. This is beautiful. Well done.
Thank you.
So a lot of this stuff is going over everybody's head. So we talked about three things. We talked about Google My Business, right? We talked
Yeah.
about making sure that you exist there and that you're taking care of it and grooming that on a constant basis with content, the right title tags, all the information, with getting reviews. Reviews weigh heavily as well. So make sure you're getting reviews on
And
Google
again,
My Business.
that's all done through Google Business Profile.
Yep, Google Business Profiles are very heavy, and they will also transfer over to local services ads if and when they come, they will,
Yeah.
and that's a ranking factor on local services ads as well. Just to let you guys know. Number two, we talked about title tags and sprinkled in blogging and video there. But title tags are so crucial for Google to know what your site's about and what your page is about and how to rank you because they need that information. It's very heavily
And
weighted.
let me add in just very quickly, like it
Yeah.
doesn't really matter what format of website you're using. There's always going to be a space to adjust the title tag. Like for
Yes.
example, in WordPress, which I'm a big fan of, everybody
Mm-hmm.
knows.
Yep.
I will adjust my title tags through something called the Yoast SEO plugin, right?
Yes.
But that's not necessarily trying to force people over to WordPress. If you're using Wix, if you're using Shopify, if you're using Squarespace, whatever, there's always going to be some sort of a field in there for you to define
Mm-hmm.
what your title tag is on a per page basis. So
Yep.
don't think just because you don't have a WordPress website
Yep.
that all of a sudden you're gonna have problems. You
Yeah,
won't have
because
problems on
my
title
site's not
tags. You just have
WordPress.
to whatever platform you're using, you just have to figure out where that title tag is actually defined, and
Yep.
it'll usually be under some sort of a section called SEO.
Yep. That's absolutely right. It's like my site is not a WordPress site. I've used WordPress before, but I just don't have the time to do what you do and get in the weeds of it's very it's like it's walking into a chef's kitchen. There's so many instruments and tools and things that you can utilize. I don't personally have the time to do that at scale. I mean, I have other people that I tap into to help me out with the projects that I work on, and I help
Yeah.
delegate. And some of the stuff I'm dangerous enough to do, but for my own site, I don't even want to
Well,
switch.
you're absolutely right. Like earlier this week in one of the DJ groups, I actually posted that Yoast v19.7 actually had a vulnerability that was causing fatal site crashes,
Hmm.
right? And so I recommended, I'm like, listen, either turn it off, or if you can upgrade to 19.7.1, then do that right away, kind of thing,
Yeah.
right? And if you're not necessarily a robust company and you don't have someone either in the office or a contractor or something like that who's ready to deal with things like that for you, you could theoretically have your site go down, and it's down for the whole day, and you don't even find out until you're back home
Yeah, just like that.
in the
That's
evening.
and that's one of the it's a pitfall of WordPress that everybody says not everybody, but a lot of people say you have to have WordPress. Well, it's great to have WordPress, but if you can't manage WordPress by yourself, or if you don't have a guy you can go to, a guy or girl you can go to
Yeah.
watch that and make sure it's running right, then maybe WordPress isn't for you. But you have to have somebody like yourself, Jordan, who knows WordPress inside and out, that knows to
Well,
update the
for
plugins.
sure.
Because one plugin goes
Or
bad, that can cascade to other
yeah.
plugins crashing the site.
Well, sure, but like take for example my friend Ryan Von On, by Request DJs in Cleveland.
Hmm.
Ryan has a pretty good day job. He's a Python coder. Okay,
Yeah.
so he's actually even more code savvy than either you or me. So, but Ryan has trouble working on his DJ business and his photo booth, because he has photo booths as well.
Yeah.
He can't really get away during the day. I mean, it's coding like that at a company like that is pretty hard pressure. Okay, so Ryan is not able to actually get those edits done, which is why he likes dealing with us. I'm by the computer all day, and I'd say probably an hour a day is just fixing people's stuff, right? And it's part of the deal. So I don't mind,
Yeah.
right? I don't complain about it, right? But part of, like for example, part of every website that we do includes 12 months of no questions asked warranty, and that's there to fix those problems and make sure that if somebody has a problem, all they have to do is forward me the email of whatever the problem is, and I'm just like, okay, I'm on it. Just go do
Yeah.
your thing, and
You're just
I'll
like,
talk to you some other.
got
I'll
it,
talk
got
to
it,
you
got it.
in a few hours when it's done, kind of thing, right? And but you're absolutely right. Like if you're dealing with, if you're on a Wix platform, right, then Wix is taking care of those problems.
Yes.
If you're on a Squarespace platform, then Squarespace is taking care of those platforms. If you're on WordPress, you need to make sure that either you yourself have the aptitude and the ability to get to a computer to fix a problem, or pay for some sort of managed WordPress service. I mean, usually you can get a contract for a WordPress maintenance for about $99 a month, right?
Yeah.
On the grand scheme of things, it's not really that expensive.
That's
And
not
and
bad. That's not bad.
those WordPress maintenance contracts usually include hosting as well. So, it's $99 a month on average, let's say, to have someone watch out for your site, update your theme, update your plugins,
And backup.
and backups and all that kind of stuff, right? So you got to remember, every time, like, anybody who's ever dealt with WordPress knows that the theme will need updating on occasion, and the plugins will, depending on how many plugins you have, you could be updating plugins every week, kind of thing, right?
Yep.
Those plugins and the themes and all that stuff need to be updated on a regular basis, because what ends up happening is, let's say WordPress just recently updated to 6.0.2,
Mm-hmm.
okay? When WordPress updates, right, it usually requires some of your plugins to also need
That's
updates,
correct.
right? And so if those plugins are not updated, then they're kicking back errors,
Yep.
right? And those errors will affect your core web vitals and one of the most important ones being site speed. All right,
Yes.
it's going to errors slow down your site, and Google doesn't like them. Google knows how to look for JavaScript errors and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have errors, it's going to actually hurt your ranking. All right. Now, fortunately, Google has something called Google Search Console, which
Correct.
you should already have hooked up, or your digital person should have hooked up as well. Okay. And Google Search Console, thankfully, has this feature where if there's an error on a page, it kicks back an email to you saying you've got a problem on this page. You need to go in and fix it. Okay. Like, for example, I've got 3 pages that
Mm-hmm.
I already know I'm going to have to fix first thing in the morning because they're kicking back search crawling errors. And if I don't fix them by the time that Google crawls their site next, then they're going to take a penalty.
Yep. So this is Google Search Console here. This is my site. You guys are getting to see my stuff, so I don't really care. You guys can take a look at it. I'm,
Top secret.
yeah, right. So it just gives you an idea of the traffic that's coming in. It inspects your URLs. So I probably have a few errors in here that I need to take care of. It's not showing performance. A lot of different things. It'll tell you what pages are indexed, what pages aren't indexed, what kind of search queries people are typing in to get to your website, where the traffic's coming from, what's wrong with your. Here's the core web vitals you were talking about. Mine's probably horrible. Not enough data. So I don't have enough traffic. Jordan, what do I do about that?
Well, I think you need to follow your own advice and get some of that SEO
Do
sniping with
I?
keywords and
I
title
need to do some
tags.
more of that. I absolutely do. So
When I see not enough data like that, and you're an established company, I would actually double check that your Google Search Console is actually configured properly
that's
to
what I
your
was
site.
just thinking about. Yep. So I'm like the the cobbler's children. We have the worst shoes. I'm too busy doing everybody else's work and don't even concentrate on my own. That's the sad
It's
part of
all
it.
good. It's all good.
Yeah.
So, just in closing, right? Because I know we're getting up there on time at this point,
Yes.
but in closing, right? Viewers have to remember, right, that SEO is important. All right, it's very important into attracting new customers.
That's
All
right.
right, you can have all the word of mouth in the world, and if you get word of mouth, I think that's amazing. But unless you're already a multi-op, like for example, my friend Ross and Ken, Philadelphia and Boston, who are sending out multiple shows every single night on the weekends, right? Then those word of mouth opportunities are not going to be as robust as you need them to be in order to maintain and grow your company.
Yeah.
All right. SEO is a way of attracting new customers and reaching people that you don't have any access to. And getting back to that, Facebook user who commented before, sure, word of mouth is a fantastic method.
Yep.
But what stops you from doing both?
Yeah, exactly. You should. Well balanced marketing portfolio. Um, Jordan, this is fantastic. I mean, we could have its own series every week just talking about SEO. That's how much stuff is involved in marketing in
Well,
general.
listen, if you want to have me back on a regular basis, I am happy to come back anytime you want. I think I there was that one Facebook user who commented earlier who mentioned that he wants to see more actual
Tutorials.
demonstrations of tools
Yes.
and things like that. So, Art, I'm a big supporter. Love your work. Love
Thank
this
you.
new initiative. Whatever you need.
Yeah, thank you. I think that would be a good idea. So we've got some holes to fill in the schedule, um, where maybe Dave might not be here, or we don't have any other guests that are available that night. Let me take a look at that because I would like to show some more things that we can get people to do on their own. I don't want to give
Just
away everything because we're not in the
just
business
call
of
me
teaching.
just call me Plan B.
No, you're not Plan B. I just think it's very valuable to have these discussions, but we don't want to give away everything that you do. Otherwise, you'll just we're not in the business of
Well,
teaching everybody how to do everything.
listen, I think that there's a certain tier of things that we can. I mean, listen, we could fill up a whole, like, let's say we did like once every 2 months or something like that. We
Yeah,
could fill up a whole year of stuff and not even approach that level. But let's give people like, there's simple stuff and there's advanced stuff, right? And advanced
yes,
stuff, I think, I don't have time to teach a university course, obviously.
no, that
But with the
changes.
simple stuff, I'm here all day, and let's give some people some knowledge so that they can actually, open their eyes and realize what's involved in this.
Love it. I love it. Thank you very much, Jordan.
No
So
worries. Thank you, Art. And I will see you offline.
yeah. So just to give everybody an idea of what's coming up, again, we had Jordan. So I'm going to be making sure that this video goes up on our blog. We're going to send a link back to you for some SEO juice, as well as put it in the YouTube video. Next week, we are going to bring on James Trivilis from Curator and really talk about his history with Curator and some really cool new things that he has coming up. And that's next Wednesday, September 28th at 8:30 p.m. Everybody, thank you very much for joining us tonight, and we hope to see you next week.